Dear listeners, I welcome you to my channel. Leave your comments and impressions, I value your opinion. Crouched behind the dark blue van parked across the street, my heart pounded furiously in my chest, each beat a reminder of the betrayal festering just yards away. The chill of the evening seeped through my jacket, but the cold within was far more biting. I clutched my phone, the device through which I had tracked her to this place, a nondescript motel that now played stage to my crumbling life. Through the slightly ajar window of room number 9, her laughter trickled out, a sound that once warmed my heart now twisted into a knife turning in my gut. I could hear her voice mingle with his, that slick, confident tone of a man who knew he was doing wrong and relished it. "Listen, babe, your husband is a loser," he cooed, his words slithered through the gap like venom. "Let him take care of the kids, and you come to me. I want to touch your..." Rage blinded me. 3 seconds, that's all it took. 3 seconds to push away from the van, cross the space between my hiding spot and their sin, and burst through the door. The scene inside snapped into focus like a grotesque tableau. The unkempt bed, the spilled wine glass, their shocked faces. He stood there, too close to her, his hand an inch from where it shouldn't be. Muscle memory and fury took over. I grabbed his hand, twisting hard. The crack was satisfying, his scream even more so. "John, what are you doing?" My wife's voice, sharp with panic, barely registered over the drum of blood in my ears. "I'm doing what I should have done months ago," I breathed, staring into her wide, tear-filled eyes. The eyes that had looked up at our wedding vows with love, now shimmering with confusion and fear. She stumbled back, her hand flying to her mouth. "You're hurting him. He deserves it." The words erupted from me, raw and savage. "And what about Eva? What do you deserve?" His whimpers filled the room, but I barely heard them over the storm in my mind. Letting go of his now limp hand, I straightened up, feeling every inch the avenger, though my soul churned with despair. "You need to leave, John, just go." She was crying now, her makeup smeared, her perfect image shattered. I looked from her to him, still cradling his hand, his face contorted in pain. "This isn't over," I said quietly, more to myself than to them. With one last look at the ruins of what my life had been, I turned and walked out, the cool night air hitting my face like a splash of clarity. As I drove away, the weight of what had happened, what was still happening, settled in. My marriage, my family, my entire world was in jeopardy, all because of a moment of madness. Or was it a moment of clarity? The road stretched dark before me, and I knew one thing for sure. There was no going back, only forward, into the unknown. As the night air whipped through the open windows of my car, the numbness began to wear off, replaced by an acute sense of urgency. I needed a plan, but first, I needed an ally. My mind raced through possible confidants until it landed on one. Mike, my old college roommate and a private investigator. Fumbling with my phone, I dialed his number. The line clicked twice before his gruff voice answered, laden with sleep. "John? What's going on, man? It's almost midnight." "Mike, I need your help," I said, my voice a blend of desperation and determination. "Can we meet? It's urgent." There was a pause, a shuffling of sheets. "Yeah, of course. Give me 15 minutes. The old diner on 5th? See you there." Parking outside the neon-lit diner, the place seemed a beacon in the night. Inside, Mike was already at a booth, a steaming cup of coffee in front of him. His keen eyes took in my disheveled appearance as I slid into the booth opposite him. "Looks like you've been through hell," he commented, pushing a cup toward me. I nodded, wrapping my hands around the warm ceramic. "I caught Sarah with someone else tonight," I began, and his brow furrowed in concern. "Not just anyone, it's her boss, Rick." I broke his finger. Mike whistled low. "That's a messy way to start a conversation. What do you need from me?" "I need to know how long it's been going on, and what exactly I'm up against. Can you find out?" "You know I can. But think about what you're doing, John. Is this about revenge or saving your marriage?" "Both," I admitted, the bitterness in my voice surprising even me. "I want to confront her, but I need the whole truth first." "All right, I'm on it. Anything else strange going on that you've noticed?" That's when I remembered the unusual phone calls and the late nights she'd brushed off as overtime. I relayed the information to Mike, who nodded thoughtfully, jotting down notes. As we parted ways, the first light of dawn was beginning to touch the sky. The drive home was long, each mile giving me space to think. I wasn't just going to sit back and let my life unravel. No, I was going to fight, but for what exactly remained to be seen. Pulling into my driveway, the house loomed large and silent. The kids would be up soon, and I needed to face them. As I pushed open the door, the smells of home hit me: coffee, Sarah's perfume, the kids' shampoo. It all seemed like a taunt now. Just then, the phone rang. It was Sarah. Her voice was calm, too calm. "John, we need to talk. Can you come by my office today, please?" I hesitated, then agreed. As I hung up, the weight of the impending confrontation settled in my stomach like a stone. Walking up the stairs to wake the kids, I braced myself for the day ahead. The fight was just beginning, and I was already weary, but there was no turning back. The drive to Sarah's office was tense, each traffic light a pause to gather my thoughts. When I finally pulled into the parking lot of the sleek building where she worked, my hands were shaking. The receptionist recognized me, offering a polite nod as I bypassed her desk and headed straight to Sarah's office. Sarah was standing by her window, overlooking the cityscape. When I entered, she turned, her expression unreadable. The office was too pristine, every item meticulously in place, a stark contrast to the chaos between us. "John," she started, her tone formal. "Thank you for coming." "Cut the formalities, Sarah. What did you want to talk about?" I snapped, my patience thin. She sighed, folding her arms. "I think we need to discuss how we're going to handle this situation. For the kids." "The kids?" I echoed, incredulous. "Is that all you can think about? What about us?" "Us?" She laughed bitterly. "John, there hasn't been an us in a long time, and you know it." Her words stung, but I pushed on. "So your solution was to cheat? To lie? How long, Sarah?" She hesitated, then met my gaze squarely. 6 months, but it's not just about the affair. We've been disconnected for years, John. You know it's more complicated than that." I wanted to argue, to deny her words, but the truth was harder to confront. "So what now? We just end it?" "I don't know," she admitted, her voice softening. "I think we need to think about what's best for the children. Maybe we need a break, to see if there's anything left to salvage." I was about to respond when my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a message from Mike. "Got something. Meet me ASAP." "I have to go," I said abruptly, my mind racing with what Mike might have discovered. Sarah nodded, her eyes not meeting mine. "We'll talk later then." I left her office feeling a mix of anger and despair, the brief encounter settling nothing but stirring up more questions. Driving to meet Mike, I tried to prepare myself for what he had found. Mike was waiting at our usual spot, a quiet corner of a local park. He looked serious as he approached, holding his tablet. "John, you're not going to like this," he began without preamble, handing me the tablet. On the screen were photos and emails, a damning trail of evidence not just of the affair but of something deeper, more sinister. Financial transactions, secretive meetings, Sarah's name entangled with not just Rick but others, prominent figures. "What is this, Mike? What are they planning?" My voice was barely a whisper, my mind struggling to piece together the implications. "It looks like they're involved in some sort of scheme. Money laundering, maybe even fraud. It's big, John." My heart sank. The affair was one thing, but this? Sarah's involvement in criminal activities was something I hadn't even considered. "What do I do with this information?" "We go to the authorities," Mike stated firmly. "You need to protect yourself and the kids. This goes beyond your marriage." Nodding, I felt a resolve harden within me. This was no longer just about heartbreak. It was about justice, about safeguarding what remained of my life and my family's future. "Let's do it," I said, handing back the tablet. "Let's bring this all down." As Mike and I parted ways, the weight of the situation settled heavily on my shoulders. Heading home, I knew the next steps would change everything. I was no longer just a betrayed husband. I was a key player in exposing a major criminal operation. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but I was ready to face it, for my children's sake, if not for my own. The sun was setting by the time I pulled up to our house, casting long shadows across the front yard where I'd played catch with the kids just weeks ago. Now, the normalcy of that scene felt like a distant memory. My hand hesitated on the door handle, bracing for the confrontation that awaited me inside. But nothing could have prepared me for what I found. The house was in disarray, furniture overturned, and the faint smell of smoke lingered in the air. Panic surged through me as I raced through the rooms, calling out for Sarah and the kids. No answer. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. They're with us. Come along to the warehouse on Dockside Road if you want to see them again. Chills ran down my spine as I read the message over and over. This had escalated beyond anything I imagined. Grabbing a baseball bat from the closet, I rushed to my car and sped towards the warehouse district. The warehouse loomed large and ominous under the night sky. The building was silent as a grave as I approached, the bat gripped tightly in my hands. I entered through an unlocked side door, my heart pounding in my ears. Inside, I found Sarah and the kids tied up, but unharmed, in the corner of the room. Rick was there too, along with two other men I recognized from the photos Mike had shown me. John, you really shouldn't have involved the cops, Rick sneered, stepping forward. But maybe we can still work this out. I'm not here to negotiate, I said, my voice steady despite the fear. Let them go. As we faced off, the sound of sirens pierced the night, and blue lights flashed through the windows. Rick cursed under his breath, looking around frantically for an escape. In the chaos, Sarah managed to free herself and the kids. She ran to me, her eyes wide with fear but also with something else, resolve. John, I need to tell you something, she said hurriedly. This wasn't just an affair. I've been working undercover for the last year. Rick and his associates are part of a bigger network. I was about to blow the whole operation wide open when they found out. I stared at her in disbelief. Undercover, you're an agent? Yes. I couldn't tell you for your own safety. Before I could process her words, the police stormed in, arresting Rick and his cronies. Sarah quickly identified herself to the officers, who confirmed her story. In the aftermath, as we sat in the back of an ambulance, wrapped in blankets, Sarah explained everything. Her affair had been a cover for her investigation, a story corroborated by her supervisor who arrived to debrief us. My world, once rocked by betrayal, was now reshaped by admiration and relief. Can you forgive me? Sarah asked, her eyes searching mine. It took a moment, the hurt still raw. But seeing her in this new light, knowing she had risked everything for the greater good, softened the sharp edges of my pain. We'll need time, I admitted, but we can start by healing together. As the emergency lights washed over us in waves of blue and red, I took her hand. The kids huddled close, and felt for the first time in months that maybe, just maybe, we could rebuild something strong from the ashes of deception.